And hello, we are live. Alejandro Tornato here, coming directly from Beaufort, Georgia. And I am so delighted and so happy and thrilled this morning because this is a brand new episode live of Conversations with Influencers. And if you've been following me and following the previous conversations, you know that I bring people who we have excellent discussions about very valuable, relevant topics. And today is no exception. And I'm so glad, to have with me as my guest, Willie Johnson, a life coach, a speaker, and someone that you are going to appreciate because of his story. The passion and the enthusiasm that he has to help people obtain more clarity, obtain a better level of awareness in their journeys. And I'm looking forward because we're going to have a great conversation. And without an extensive introduction, let me just go ahead and bring Willie here. How are you doing, Willie? How are things in California this morning?
Nice and hot already. So already had the air conditioner on, so we're not messing around.
I see. That's exactly right. Yes, the power of technology, the power of air conditioning. When we need it.
Yes.
So, listen, I am so excited. And first of all, I just want to thank you for you agreeing and taken time, to have this conversation, because I believe that we are going to be covering and going over and discussing a topic that is very, very relevant to every single person. And we are going to be talking about beliefs and belief systems, because I truly think that everything that we do in life is part of a belief system that at one point or another we acquired. But before we actually dive into the subject, I would like to give you the platform just to share with us a little bit about who Willie Johnson is. What you have been doing. What are you passionate about? What has been your journey from over there to over here right now?
Right.
So you have the mic.
All right. Hey, thank you so much, Alejandro. I do appreciate it, bringing me on. We talked the other day and, we just kind of hit it off and just kind of started talking about the beliefs. So, and it's interesting when you brought that subject up because it is vital and it is a huge part of my journey, because like you said, we all started with a set of beliefs that were either embedded in us through our childhoods, through our influences in our lives, our teachers, our families. So a lot of that is something that we kind of grew into. So for me, I've always had this desire and passion inside of me to be of help, to be of service. I was raised that way, taking care of my grandfather who was paraplegic and learning how to be of service to him, learning how to be there for him when he needed. It was my childhood, right? So that was always a desire in me, and to see the joy that it brought him when we helped, even though sometimes we didn't want to, but, as a child, you realize that there are more important things in life than what you want, so I was raised to believe that if you put forward that effort to help other people, that you in turn will receive that joy and value in life. So in my journey, that was always something that was kind of embedded in me. And just like in the belief, I didn't believe that I was capable of doing that. I didn't believe that people would want to hear that. I didn't believe that that message, that story was of use to people. So in that same fashion, I had to myself create a strong belief empowering system to allow me to be able to be on a platform like this with you here today, to be able to reach people, to be able to set out to help people every single day is my why. You know, that's what gets me up. That's what motivates me. That's what inspires me. To hear someone say thank you, that really helped me. I mean, you know, there's obviously dollar value in things, but the value of someone appreciating something you've done and you doing it without any expectation of anything in return is invaluable. So that is my passion, my, you know, my story, my journey, and it's continuing on that bridge to do that, you know, for as long as I'm here, as long as I can touch someone, even if it's one person, that's what I'm gonna do.
Now, it's I think that I mean, listening to what you just said, I think that there is content. I mean, for doing a Facebook Live for a whole week or even longer.
Right.
But it's amazing that when you start doing things and adding value to other people and helping other people, and thinking that that is not only a benefit to them, to the receiving end, but it's also a benefit to the giver. I mean,
Yes.
to the person who is doing the deed. And I said before that when we do that, when we get out of ourselves, I mean, to extend help and to extend the something to others, is like throwing a boomerang. You know, I mean, you throw a boomerang. I mean, the boomerang does what it does to the other person, but then the boomerang comes back and it benefits you. I mean, it's not like some people that before they commit to doing something to somebody else, they ask that famous or I would say infamous a question that is, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to do something for you, Willie, but what's in it? In the back of my mind, the primary thought is, what's in it for me? I mean, what
Right.
am I going to get as a benefit if I help you? And
Right.
I think that that is the wrong approach to doing things. But even that is the result of a belief system, a
Yep.
belief that the only way that you can do something to others is if you're going to get something in return. And how sad that is. And I guess we are seeing it even right now. You know, I mean that. I don't know. I mean, whether we are still with the pandemic hanging on or not, but we are seeing it with all these riots and the
Yeah.
things that are going on in different parts of the country. I was thinking the other day that even that, I truly believe that even that is the result and part of a belief system that some people have, that even when we are in a time of crisis, instead of thinking and being creative in trying to come up with solutions, some people, they are very creative in bringing even more problems and adding more problems to the problems that are already there. And that is also part of their own belief. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, you know, it's funny you say that, because it's so easy for us to, in a belief setting, to just go with what we believe. You hear it all day, right? I believe, because our minds are made to just take that easy answer. So it's much easier to do something that you may see someone else doing, or something that you heard, because to take the time and the thought process to question
Mm-hmm.
do or question that belief takes effort. I read somebody said that we have about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts in our mind per day on average. And of those, 80% of those are negative. And of that 80%, 95% of that is of a similar or same thought that we had a previous day. So
Yeah.
so from that belief of the way something was, or the way that we saw, or the way that we embedded in us, we just continue to act on that. We don't take the time to look from within to answer the questions of questioning why we believe that. I mean, it's almost like we have to hit the timeout and say, hey, why do I believe that? Why do I believe things are a certain way? Why do I believe everyone's reacting to these situations in a certain way? And figuring out that solution instead of just going with the masses. It's so much harder to do that because it takes effort and thought. But we have to, or you won't ever change.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I was reading a little while ago. I am a speaker, coach, and trainer. I mean, through the John Maxwell team, and so I have read a lot of materials and books. I mean, from John Maxwell in terms of leadership, in terms of personal growth, and there's a book that he wrote. And I love book titles, and I think that it says "Thinking for a Change," thinking for a change, and in that book, basically, I mean, there's lots of content, but one of the premises is that people do not think. That most people do not think, and what happens is that we sometimes rely on the thinking that other people do, and then we attach ourselves to that thinking, but we do not have our own personal beliefs and thinking on particular topics. I mean, we do not sit and reflect and really engage the neurons in our brain to actually think objectively. And what we are going to be talking a little bit later on about possibility thinking. I mean, because that's that sometimes is not easy to really think. It requires effort. It requires intentionality. It requires determination, and not many people are going to give the time, the energy, the effort that is required to develop really creative thinking about something. Everybody is just taking very passively the thinking, whether it's right or wrong thinking that is done by others. I mean, is that what you have seen?
Yeah, I like this saying. I said that, you ask someone what's the most powerful tool or thing that we have and device, and they go Google, right? Google. They think Google is the most powerful thing, but it's like Google doesn't have the answers to everything, right? You ask someone a question and they're immediately go to their phone or their device or trying to find a solution. They look, Google doesn't have the answers, but like you said, the most powerful device is right here in between the ears here.
That's right.
We don't always necessarily do that because everything around us is so fast, right? We want to answer, we click, we ask Siri, we ask all these things for answers instead of taking the time to reflect in ourselves, in our own settings, to meditate on that question. And that is something when it comes to changing that belief pattern, that limited belief, is to question that thing to death, where you question something enough, it will eventually lose its power, but we don't take the time to question it. And that's part of the problem.
That I think so. I agree 100% with what you just said. And as we, it's amazing. I mean, because as we are growing up, I mean, as kids, our thinking is very much unlimited. I mean,
Hmm.
we just, as kids, it's amazing just to look at kids, because they think that they can literally, that they can do anything that they want to, or that they hope that they can do. I mean,
Right.
anything. Nothing is impossible for a kid. Nothing is has limited boundaries. I mean, everything is just completely free,
Hmm.
boundless, unlimited. Whether you want to go around the world, I mean, that's possible. Whether you want to go to the moon, that's possible. Whether you, I mean, it doesn't. You can talk to a kid about um, uh, I mean, just the most bizarre things, and they are possible in their minds, because it's possibility thinking. And unfortunately, as we begin growing up, and as we begin interacting with other adults, and perhaps, I mean, with parents and teachers, um, then that's when the barriers and the
Right.
walls
Yep.
and everything around that thinking begins to build up. And um, yes, I would like to go to a safari and being with animals and so forth. And then someone may say, but uh, do, do you have the money to do it? But do you have this? But have you gotten that? But, and it's all, it begins, I mean, the original idea is exploration, is
Right.
going, is having all this amazing thinking about going on a safari. And then
Hmm.
what you get in return is all the obstacles that
Right.
are on the way. Well,
I
you
call
may
it the
not
butt.
have the money, you may not have this, do you know that, and so forth. And that begins to uh, diminish and to begin to quelch that original idea. And
Hmm.
how true it is that um, as we grow up, rather than enhancing that freedom of thinking,
Yeah.
we begin to get limited, very limited in what we think that we are able to do.
Hmm. Yeah, we become fixed, and one thing in that big idea is the one of the most powerful limiting words is but. So we have this great idea and we'll have this great passion. Like I said, as a child, you can embed in child such confidence, such empowering thoughts that you can get them to believe in that. And as we get older, we still have that, but then we go, but I want to start my own business. I have this passion, I have this idea, but so we let that but go in there, and we tend to take all the other things around us to influence that. But we always see the stories of a person that seems to defy all odds, right? They were in an accident, they were told they were never going to walk again, they were told in their environment that you can't be anything more than what you're surrounded with. You grew up in poverty, you cannot do that. But you see those stories and they're almost like miracles, but in actuality they're just that individual deciding to not let that environment, that situation shape them, right? They decided with such intensity that they're going to believe
That,
that
yeah,
they can control that destiny. No matter what anyone else thought, no matter who saw it, they are the ones that see it. And that's what we have to do. We have to turn off all the noise of what we believe is possible and just believe in that.
that's exactly.
Let's do it.
That's exactly right. There is a statement by Sam Ewing, and it says this. It says, "Nothing is so embarrassing as watching someone do something that you said could not be done."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that amazing? And I know, and I have met people in the past and talking to people, and in their minds, um, anything, anything that they want to do is just either. I mean, it's not that it is too difficult, but it just cannot be done. Um,
Right.
I want to do this, or I want to start this entrepreneurial adventure. Well, but in my case, no. I mean, I cannot do it. Because I don't have the resources. You have to see my family. And so it just cannot be done. And in their minds, it just cannot be done. And then, pretty much maybe 6 months later, later on, or a year later, they see someone who is doing exactly the same as what they wanted to do a year prior.
Mm-hmm.
And they just cannot believe it. And that's the difference between thinking about doing something and actually doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a tremendous difference between one and the other. I have a little statement here on my wall by Tony Robbins, and he says, the path to success is to take massive, determined action.
Yep.
It's just acting on your belief.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just have a belief and don't do anything with it, it's just going to stay as a belief. I mean, it's like the other analogy that we can bring is, you see a lot of people, who always are telling everybody else that they have this intention to do this, or they have that intention to do that. And then you'll meet them sometime after that, and you ask them, how are you doing with that? And yes, and they still have the intention to do it, but until you change from having that intention to being intentional and actually taking the first step and do it, then nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, no, I call it the want to versus the decision to, right? So the want to, we hear people talk all day, I want, but it's the person that says, I'm deciding to get out of this situation. I'm deciding to change that belief. I'm deciding that the pain of that belief that it's costing me in my family, in my relationships, in my job, in my personal health, I'm tired of that situation, that pain, that situation. I'm deciding to get out of that situation. That's the person versus difference of the person that just says, I want to, like, I want to start this business. I want to, change my diet. I want to change my habits. They're just wants. They haven't had that kind of pain that kind of pushes them out of that comfort zone to say, I'm making a decision that I'm no longer going to live like this, live in these limited beliefs, these decisions that I've made in the past. I'm changing from that. That's when they'll do it.
That's exactly right. I have just recently, I have joined because I love this guy. Tony Robbins. Yes, I love the energy and the passion that he has. To helping other people. And right now, he's doing something virtually. Is called the comeback challenge. Mm-hmm. The comeback challenge. And one of the things that I heard him say is about people having breakthroughs. And then he said, okay, what is, to begin with, what is a breakthrough? What do you think a breakthrough is? And he gave, I guess, his definition of what he believes a breakthrough is. And he says, a breakthrough, it's a moment in time when everything changes. It's a moment in time when everything changes, when the impossible becomes possible, and I act on it. And I act on it is not when the impossible becomes possible and that's it. No.
Right.
Because there's another step to that. Is when the impossible, in my mind, when the impossible becomes possible, okay, that's the first step. But the second step, now that I know that it is possible, then I have to take the first step and I have to act on it. And then I have to begin gathering momentum towards that I want to accomplish and that I want to achieve. And if you keep doing that on a consistent basis, um, uh, then you are going to get somewhere, and you are going to make things happen. And that is the breakthrough. But the breakthrough starts with our thinking
Belief. Mm-hmm.
that it is possible for me to do it. And of course that it is possible.
Right.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, no, it's that like you said, it's that belief. Once that belief kicks in, that's when you can see that change. And from that belief, you can start to build what I call competency, right? So if I want to get to here, I have to believe it first. And then I want to take massive action daily, even little steps daily towards that belief. If I believe that I can, lose this weight I desire, if I believe that I can run that marathon, I have to create empowering beliefs behind that instead of questioning and saying I can't. So I say, hey, what do I need to believe to get to that point? Okay, I believe I need to eat better. I believe I need to exercise.
That's right.
I need to pay attention to my environment, control the situations, get better sleep. So there's so many things that if you believe and you add to that belief, you start to empower that. And then when that competency kicks in, then that confidence kicks in. And then you start to go, hey, I remember when I didn't think I could even do this. And I'm starting to do this. I'm starting to believe that you can do. I think it's Gandhi says, I believe something, I will acquire what it takes to achieve that, even if I don't see it, even if I don't know how.
That's right.
Leave that first, I will gain that competency by taking action. And sooner or later, you'll look and go, hey, look at where I've come. So it all starts with that belief.
That's right. I mean, one of my mentors, very frequently says, you have to stop the requirement of asking, how am I going to do something? Because most people, they slow down and they don't do anything because they keep asking themselves the wrong types of questions.
Yes.
And is they have something that they want to do. Let's say I want to travel to India, okay, because I want to explore the Indian culture. Okay, that's what they want to do. But then they begin asking the wrong questions. How am I going to get there? Well, that's the wrong question. It's not stop asking how you're going to get there. You want to get there. Now begin to take steps. They don't have to be huge steps. They can be little steps. First of all, you can look in a map where you want to go in India. What are the places you want to go? That's something towards reaching your goal. Then you can say, okay, who do I know perhaps that it's either Indian or knows someone in India that I can begin talking and asking questions? That could be another step. Another step could be, well, how much is it going to take me to do this? And what do I need to do to begin saving money and begin to look at a certain deadline to say, well, when do I want to go? And how much do I need to save? And all those things are taking you closer to reaching your goal. Because if you keep asking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get the money? How am I going to? And you how? And then 6 months later, then what happens? You're still asking the same as how questions, and you haven't done absolutely nothing. And that is so you have something that you want, and begin taking small steps toward getting closer to that. And it was Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great writer, who said, do the thing and you will get the energy to do the thing. So it's not just, I want to do something and then I sit and then I wait and I do nothing. No. Do the thing. Begin acting on it. Begin taking action, and you will get more energy to keep going towards that goal, towards that dream.
Right. It's like you said, Les Brown says the how is none of your business. Right? How is none of your business. For me, the most important thing is the why. Why I want to do something, the why I want to believe a certain way, the why I want to change my environment, the why I want to improve my life.
That's right.
Is going to generate in you such a conviction, and that conviction is going to in turn create a passion. And once someone has a conviction of something, there's nothing you can tell them. There's nothing you can change their mind about. They are convinced without a doubt that they can achieve that. And what happened is that why becomes so powerful, it'll push them to that unbelievable goal, right? That they say, oh, this is never going to happen, people around them. But they do, like you said, those continuous daily little actions, little things. And I would write out what I believe I need to do to accomplish something.
Yeah.
Do I need to do this? I love to run. So if I wanted to run a marathon, here's the things I need to do. You know what I mean? I need to run daily. I need to walk. I need to eat right. I need to stay hydrated. These little tiny things, and you act upon them, they become so powerful. Your why, because you feel so strongly about it that conviction pushing you towards it. And before you know it, you will get to that ending, but you can't worry about the how. You just have to say, why do I want to change? Why are these beliefs that I have limited to me to where I don't feel that I can start this business? I don't feel that I can, get out of debt. I don't feel that I can change my environment, my job, my whatever it is. Get out of that limiting belief and figure out why you want to do that.
Yeah.
Push you.
That's exactly right. And there's a guy, and I'm sure that you heard of him, Simon Sinek.
Yep.
And he wrote a book about that exactly same topic. The why. That is the most important question, because the why, you see, the how is not tied and associated to anything, but the why am I doing this, or why do I want to engage in that, and why do I want to change this?
Yep.
The why is directly related to your purpose, to the purpose that you have. And when you begin to fuel that purpose, as you said, and you begin to have that strong inner conviction of what you want to do, then it's amazing, but you become unstoppable in that. You become unstoppable because no one is going to change. Once you become convicted that that is what you want to do, like you said, I want to run a marathon. And for some people says, oh my goodness, 26.2 miles. Woo! No, that is as close as to impossible as I could. But you said, but you begin, if someone, I never run a marathon. I'm not a kind of a runner. I love to walk and hike, but running. But if I were to run a marathon, I cannot say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about running a marathon today. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to the field and I'm just going to go for 26.2 miles. Do you think that I'm going to succeed? Of course not. Not in a million years, because I haven't taken the steps in order
Correct.
to fulfill that. And as you said, it takes those steps. It takes running perhaps I don't know, maybe half a mile today, or a quarter of a mile, or perhaps, twice around the block, or whatever it is. But you begin doing that,
Yeah.
and you do it consistently, and it may take you 6 months, it may take you a year, whatever it takes, but you'll see that after that preparation and hydration and eating right and sleeping right and doing all these other things, you'll be able, to run the 26.2 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like I hear most people, once they run a marathon, they once they are maybe 3 miles from the finish line, the body cannot do it, so they
Nope.
switch
Out there.
to the mind. Is the mind that can take you for the last 2 miles to the finish line. Isn't that right?
Yeah, they say the flesh is weak, right? But the mind, that conviction, you let that mind take over. I love it in sports, and we watch competitors, and there's such a drive that we feel, that compassion that they feel, that they're unstoppable, right? They get that conviction that, hey, I can do anything, that I believe, and I start to push towards that. I start to show that in my actions. And it starts with those habits, with those daily small habits that you must incorporate in if you want to raise that belief and desire to do that, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Once, like you said, once that belief kicks in, no one can tell you, right? But what's going to happen? You don't worry about the how. You don't start looking for that results. I have someone that say, hey, I want to get out of debt. I want to do this. And then say, okay, well, start to believe that, start to find out what things you can do every single day to go towards that. And don't look at it in 3 weeks and go, oh, that didn't happen. Because that's what happens, right? We give up. Our minds go right back to that belief because it's so hard. But if it takes you 10 years, 15 years to get into a situation, if you believe something for so long, you can't possibly think that, like you said, I'm going to run the marathon tomorrow. You can't possibly think in 3 weeks that you're going to completely change that scenario. But what you need to do is just continue to believe that, take those steps, stop looking backwards, and just take that small action every single day until you getting so far along that you will start to see some results, even
right.
Small result. Like you said, hey, I ran around the block. I never ran before. I ran around the block. Look at that. I believe I can do this if I just stick with it. So it's that belief, and then continue to put that massive daily action behind it. And
That's right. Oh yes. I heard also Tony Robbins says that you cannot get into your desired future if you are constantly looking in the rear view mirror. It's impossible. And there are people who are constantly living in the past and thinking that they are able to create their future. No, it's impossible. If you live in the past, so you have to make that switch. You have to now live in the present and begin creating the future that you want. And Simon Sinek, it's when in that book on why, he compares, a few companies, and one of the companies that he speaks, highly about is Apple. And when he talks about Apple, he says, when Apple comes up with products, the way that they go about it is they are always looking and strengthening behind their why for doing what they're doing, where other companies, they just want, they're talking about the features of the product and all the things. But Apple, no. If you see an ad from Apple, the iPhone, is not. I mean, they're talking about the geometry of the phone and the thickness of the phone and how polished it is. And so it's just a feeling that they're trying to impart, because that is associated with the why that they have as a company, is to make beautiful products that are very practical and that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But they keep resonating with their own why, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they have been very successful, as opposed to other companies. And that is why the why, it's an important question to ask. I mean, why am I doing this? Why do I want to start doing this? Why do I want to replace this habit with this other habit?
Right.
Why? And when you keep asking why, then you're beginning to get the real answers that you need to keep moving, I mean, forward.
Yeah. And in the same way as, like I said, that in that limiting belief setting, it reminded me when you said that, why is that that's
Sure.
the exact thing you need to do, is to create questions. Because if you question something long enough, if it had a hold on you in a belief, if you question it long enough, it will begin to lose power. It will begin to lose its reference of why you believe it to be a certain way. So I tell people, like, hey, if you come upon something that is a limited belief, you should know what they are. We all do, right? We should, if we want to change, we should know what those limitations are, but we need to combat those with questions every time they come up. Like you said, you start out to do something and that question comes up of, well, I've never done this before. I don't know how. Question that. Why do you think that you're unable to do this? What references? Is this truly a realistic belief that believe this? Is it realistic, or is it just something that you've heard or you've seen? So begin to question those every single day when they come up. And what happens is, as you question those, they begin to lose that power over you. So now what you can do is you can replace that with the opposite. Like you said, hey, I don't think I can run this. There's no way I can run this marathon. Well, you know what? If I believe that if I just start off small, I can. So I start to replace whatever that limiting belief is. I replace it with the opposite thought, the opposite belief, and start to take action on that. And that's how you start to rid those limited beliefs, because once that turns into, again, like that conviction, there's nothing more powerful than to know without a doubt why you're doing something. When I realized that, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to coach. I want to speak. When you realize that that's what your conviction is, it doesn't matter if you only see a small step. It doesn't matter, because every single day you're going to push yourself. You're going to do those little things, and it starts to tune out. All the distractions start to go away, and then it all becomes up in here. You can do anything.
And that is the power of coaching as well. I mean, just coming alongside another human being,
Mm-hmm.
and to help that person, not to tell that person what they should or shouldn't do,
Right.
but is asking them the necessary questions, so that person begins to have a clarity. They begin to see the light through their confusion, or to begin getting unstuck in whatever situation they are. I think that the power of a coach coming alongside and helping another person really show up in the world with all the strength and all the greatness that we have inside of us. It's a great resource. I think that when it comes to perhaps, I mean, having limiting beliefs, I think that a coach can be very valuable in digging through those limiting beliefs and seeing, I mean, if those limiting beliefs are real or they are not real. And most of the time, they are not real. I mean, they are fictionary beliefs, but we have them, and we believe those limitations, and that's the sad
Yeah, no, it is. It's funny you said it because it's like we believe, and you start to break down. That's where you start to break down. They ask that question. Well, why do you believe that? Does that even make sense? And is it even true? That's the kicker. When you can ask someone, hey, is that even true? Okay, well, why is it true? Did someone tell you that? Like, or were you labeled with that as a child? Like, I know we're, mainly obviously adults listening to this and hopefully gaining some clarity on how to change your beliefs and strengthen your beliefs. But as the children that are around us, we have so much power into getting them to believe a certain thing. If they are good at something, if they have a talent or skill, you see that, you encourage that. And that's what a coach does. The coach looks for something that an individual is possibly has within them that they're good at, that they may not even see.
Sure.
That through asking questions.
Yeah.
Asking the question, well, what are you passionate about if you're stuck? Well, I like to do this. Okay, well, how come you haven't, pursued that? Why aren't you looking for ways to do that? Because they get stuck and they go, well, I don't know how. Okay, don't worry about how. Just step towards that. Step into that passion. Something that draws emotion in you, and that's the thing that you should go towards. They say that do the thing that you would do if there was no financial ties. You can get up and do that thing for free and not have to worry about taking care of anything else, your income. You do that thing, and that is your passion. That is the thing that's going to wake you up, and you will get value added back to you. Like you said, the boomerang thing, it's huge.
That's exactly right. So I think that we covered, I mean, the topic of beliefs and belief systems and limiting beliefs and the why. And of course, I mean, this is not, we have not exhausted the topic. I mean, this
Right.
is a topic, I mean, for a much longer session. But as we wrap this segment, this session up, Willie, I normally I usually ask my guest two final questions. And of course, I'm going to ask those to you. I mean, and the first one is, what is, for Willie Johnson, what is your definition of success? What is success for you?
Success for me, when I think about being successful, is not necessarily an actual ending result, because I don't believe that my journey, this bridge that I'm on, where I'm building and going, necessarily has an end in sight. Because if I see something as an ending, then we start to give up. We start to pull back. For me, success is becoming who you become along any journey. Success is doing something that you are passionate about, regardless of the results, because you are the one doing it. You're the one that believes with the conviction that this is my purpose. I'm going towards that purpose, and I'm successful because I'm doing that. I'm successful because I coach or speak. I'm successful because I'm a doctor, lawyer, whatever you are. If you're doing that from a passionate place, from your heart, then you're successful to me. You don't need someone to label you that success. That success is what's in your heart, that what drives you. And success is doing that, which I love.
Yes, it's like it reminds me of the statement that says, "I was born for a time such as this one."
Mm-hmm.
I was born, I mean, for a time as
Right now.
this one, as this one right now. And the second question I would like, to ask is, what do you mean by living a limitless life? What is it for you to live every day, to live a limitless life?
I start off, I have this saying, it's on my page, I said, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. So to me, that is such a huge umbrella of limitless, right? So that means that no matter what I step towards, no matter what I want to accomplish, no matter who I want to help, I'm doing that from a place that it's not impossible, that the limitations that I have are what I put on myself, right? So if I believe that and I going towards that, no matter what it is, it could be on my journey to change the world, right? You should not ever limit what your thoughts are. You can have such an impact on just doing something that you're totally embedded in and you believe in. So to me, there's no limitation on that, only the limitation that you put on yourselves, and it's all up here. It's all in limitations of your mind, because people will see someone doing something and they'll say, oh, that's crazy. How are they doing that? That's because they don't see it. They have limited in themselves, but you cannot limit yourself to what another person or environment dictates. You have to have that thought in your head.
That's right. It's I heard it so many times. You see people jumping out of planes. I mean, skydiving, or people. I mean, bungee jumping. I mean, from in crazy heights, and people doing all kinds of things. Or even people. I mean, walking on a
Oh, yeah.
tightrope. And you said, how did? But listen. If you believe that you can do it, you would be on that tightrope because you can do it. I mean, there's nothing. If that person is able to do it, well,
Right.
you are able to do it. What makes the difference is that person believes that he can do it and he's doing it, and you don't believe or you don't have that strong belief that you can do exactly the same. So listen, before we end, if people want to get in touch with you, I mean, can you give us some information as to how they will be able, I mean, to contact you with?
Yeah. One is, my Facebook page is Willie Givens Johnson. So that will draw you right to my Facebook page. The other one's Instagram, and it's just at Willie J0212. So, you can find me there. I get a lot of people that just ask questions. They'll just say, hey, what do you have? And that's, to me, you teach what you learn, right? So if we're learning something, I feel it's of value to reach back and help people to answer questions. So, please reach out if anybody has any questions, message me, just hop on Facebook. I love answering questions. It helps me to continue on my journey, on my path, to help as many people as I can.
That's phenomenal. That's fantastic. And I just want to once again thank you so very much. When I talk to people and I have these conversations, there's one thing, I mean, if you lost money, you can get money back.
Yeah.
If you lost possessions, you can get them back. But there is one thing that is non-renewable, that whenever is gone forever. You cannot bring it back. Is time.
Yes.
And so I am very appreciative of the time that you have taken to spend it discussing this important topic with me and the people that are watching, and the people who are going to get the replay of this conversation with a great influencer. Yeah. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And for all of you, until the next time that we meet in another great conversation with influencers. And I'm just going to tell you that next week, I am planning on having perhaps 2 guests. So we'll just fasten. I always say that, fasten your seatbelts, because it's going to be a very dynamic, I was going to say a rocky ride. I mean, it's going to be a rocky and a dynamic and a valuable ride. But I'll give you more information in the next few days. And before I leave you, I want to remind you, as I always do, to live every moment. Live every moment. Be resilient, and also be kind, be passionate, be intentional, and be well. And change your belief systems, because as you change your thinking and your beliefs, you are going to see how your life also changes for the best.
Yep.
So thank you, Willie. Thank you, everyone. Until the next time, have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Alejandro.
Thank you.